Today's episode is all about pitching. This has been a long time coming. So, after literally interviewing dozens of writers and show creators and showrunners and directors, the same truths kept coming up about pitching. And I wanted to boil that into three takeaways for you to apply to your next project, whether it's a film or a TV show or a limited series. Three things that you could learn from this episode to instantly make your pitch better. Number one, tell it like a story. So to illustrate that point, we're going to hear from Ron Mita. He's a screenwriter whose films have earned $500 million at the box office, everything from SWAT to Robots. We're going to hear not only how he pitches, but an actual pitch that he sold in the room. And he just told it off the cuff on the podcast, but it was so compelling. It shows just what a pro storyteller he is. So keep in mind, tell it like a story. That's takeaway number one. Here we go.
I have found the best way to do this is, writers like to write treatments, or sometimes people say, "Can you write me a treatment?" And a treatment's very dry. It's just like a book report on your story. I don't write treatments anymore. I haven't stopped doing that years ago. I write short stories. So a good American short story is about 3 to 4 pages long, right, with a good twist and a turn. All American short stories have like rising action and then a really good twist, like an episode of The Twilight Zone. I write my treatments like a really good short story, like a story I would just sit around and tell you at a campfire story. And then I pitch that story. When I do my pitch for the Meerkats, it's me pitching that story. So I don't write treatments, I write short stories. And then my pitch is literally me telling you a short story. I'm reading an article and it's about the Santa Barbara Zoo. And they have loaned a bunch of meerkats to a zoo in Texas. And I guess zoos do this. They loan out creatures. So they loaned it to the zoo in Texas. That zoo in Texas, I think it was in New Braunfels, Texas, went out of business. And that zoo sold all their animals to other zoos or animal kingdom. I have no idea where they sell animals, but apparently there's a market. They sell them to other zoos. And they sold or gave away the meerkats, which weren't theirs to begin with. And so the Santa Barbara Zoo, once they realized that their meerkats were missing, that they kind of misplaced them, got a detective, found out where they were, and I don't recall where they were.
Got a detective?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then once they found out where they were, they sent a private jet, because this is Santa Barbara, they sent a private jet to Texas and flew the meerkats back to Santa Barbara, where they were reintroduced into the environment. It was a big thing. This is years ago, so you can look it up. It's called basically it was the meerkats from Santa Barbara. So I take this story and I go and pitch it to just like one or two studios, and they love it right away because it's the untold true story of the Santa Barbara meerkats. And we called it Westward Ho. Because in our version of the story, the meerkats have this beautiful life. They live on a hillside. Have you ever been to the Santa Barbara Zoo?
Maybe years ago. I don't remember.
Beautiful. It's on a hillside, overlooks the ocean. It's Santa Barbara, right? It's literally it's like the best property in Santa Barbara. So these meerkats have the best life. You wake up in the morning, you look at the ocean, the air is great. They bring you food, right? You don't even have to hunt food. Whatever it is meerkats eat, they just bring it to them, they eat it. Their life is great. What they don't see is cages and fences, because in their world, this is where we live, and this is how we live. So when they wake up, so one day they go to sleep because they get drugged, and they wake up and they're in a really shitty zoo in Texas, and they're like, "What the hell is this? What happened to that ocean thing? The water. They don't have names for things." And they are convinced that they're not far away because the sun still goes down over on that side of the zoo, right? So we just have to follow the sun. It's over there. We follow the sun when it goes down. So they decide they need to go back to the better place that they live in, at which they assume is just over the hill. Now they're in Texas. So they escape because they're very clever animals. And the whole movie is about their adventure west, where they are going west and they have to go through cattle country. And we had all these great sequences of all the adventures they go on. My favorite one is that they come to Las Vegas and you see them walking past the sign, coming into Vegas. And then the next scene is them leaving Vegas, and just Vegas is on fire, and there's and buildings are falling. It's like, we don't even see what happened in Vegas. It's a shit show. I actually love that part of the pitch. It's like, we're skipping this scene, but it's awesome. Ultimately, they make their way back to the zoo. At the end of the second act, they get back to the Santa Barbara Zoo. They break in. And the Santa Barbara Zoo, the people are happy to see them. They put them back into their cage, into their environment. And there's the sun coming up, there's the ocean. But now, remember, the meerkats have been living on their own now for in the wild for maybe 2 months. They've had to catch their own food. They've had to eat in the wild. They've had to, go dig for water. They've had to do what instinct tells them how to live. When they get back to the zoo, they suddenly can see the walls that they never saw before. They can see the fences they couldn't see before. They know they're in captivity now because they never knew it because they never experienced not being in captivity. And so the third act of the movie is them breaking out of the Santa Barbara Zoo and going back to the Mojave Desert, which is pretty much kind of where the equivalent of where they would live in Africa.
Number 2, make it personal. In this next part, we're going to hear from show creator Emily Brundage about a personal story that she shared in the pitch that became her Apple TV series, Goldie. So this isn't something that you have to worry about oversharing or revealing something about yourself you don't want to, but to simply explain and communicate why this idea, why this story has special resonance to you. So we're going to hear from Emily about that. Here we go.
Then with Goldie, it was also like this feeling of being too big, too much, as a woman, especially. I came up with the idea, or I didn't come up with the idea. I came up with the idea earlier than this, but I started seriously thinking about it again in 2016 when something happened.
Oh,
yeah.
You mean in the country?
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Basically, I felt like squashed as a woman, and I had this need, this feeling like I wanted to create a character who was a girl who took up space, and I felt like just by existing, she was like taking up space in the way that I wanted to, that I felt like we were being told we didn't matter by the actions of the incoming president.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I love that observation. Can you say, for those who don't know, Goldie is what is it about?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Please.
Goldie's about a giant girl with a giant heart. She lives in a normal sized town, a cute little town where even the mayor everyone accepts her for being who she is, even if they have issues with her. She really is part of the so-called family. But she struggles with her own self-perception and self-confidence issues, being the size that she is. And, she sometimes accidentally causes damage or misunderstands things. So she's, a very flawed character.
Yes.
But she always means well and, is always responsible for any mistakes she makes.
And how much of that are you communicating during your pitch process? Because what you just told me made me like instantly love it more, just hearing about why.
Yeah,
and what
I talked
you were
about all
feeling.
of that.
You did.
Yeah. That was like front and center. Like I think I stated what the show is, what the age demo, and those nuts and bolts stuff. And then after that, I went right into why. And I think like with the page, the title was A Girl Who Takes Up Space. And then I start talking about it.
That was the title at the time? Or like...
Oh, no, just in the
heading.
pitch.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
Like for that page. And I think I recommend to people like to get to the why right away. I think you can give just a simple explanation of what the show is, so whoever you're pitching to feels grounded a bit, knowing what you're going to be pitching, but then giving that context of why I think will make it resonate more. for people.
And you found it did
Yeah,
when you were communicating that.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also they had, since I had done made the short, and it had screened in festivals and won some awards, and it had been passed around like studios too, with executives screening it and stuff. The executives I was pitching to at Apple were already familiar with the short and loved it.
And that's another reason to try to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Get it out there, get it shown. It has a bit of a reputation, and then that's your way into these more formal meetings.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say whether or not it would have gone forward if I hadn't had the short. It might have, but there are definitely other shows, like specifically the show I'm working on now, Strawberry Vampire, that are it's so weird that I feel like having a proof of concept really goes a long way to get the tone across and, give people the idea of what this show is.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder too, if you're pitching a show like Goldie and you're talking about the why, if without a proof of concept, if people might be worried it would be too preachy or too or too, but then they see it and they see it's charming and it's playful and it's that, sometimes that helps too, right?
Yeah. And I think exactly, like, I think you can definitely scare people if you're talking about, say, like, you're talking about how a heavy subject inspired a kids show.
Right. Which is where, the fact that we're creative at all means it's coming from a, not always a happy place, right? There's some motivation in you, but to hang too much of a lantern on that and forget about the fun. You need both.
Yeah.
You are trying to entertain as well.
So in that sense, I think having a proof of concept can go a long way.
Yeah.
It has to be good.
Right. Yeah. If you're showing anything like that.
Yeah. It's better you show nothing than show like a bad proof of concept.
Yeah.
But
Number 3, character is everything. If real estate is location, pitching is character. So in this next part, you're going to hear from 2 industry veterans. The first is Marissa Balkus, who came up as an executive for Crunchyroll and Netflix, overseeing anime and adult animation. The second is Nick Philippi, who helped develop Big Hero 6 for Disney and was the executive producer and supervising director on it. So 2 industry veterans with different career trajectories arriving at the same insight about the importance of character and prioritizing character above world building, which is a common mistake a lot of show creators make, is doing the opposite of that. So we're going to hear from them, and then I'll see you at the end. Here we go. What do you wish more writers or show creators understood about selling their project?
Here's a hot take. I'm going to say this in a very harsh way. Your world building is not as special as you think it is, because world building is not what sells a show. What sells a show is a great story, a great character journey, great relationships between those characters, and a theme that ties it all together. If you lead your pitch with, look at how unique and cool my world is, and look at how the magic system is so different from anybody else's, that's all just window dressing. That's not actually the core or the crux of your idea. That's not what matters in the long run. So try not to focus as much on world building. Don't lead with that.
I think that's fantastic advice. And it is characters that you fall in love with.
Yeah.
And then experience the world of that show through the characters and through their journey.
Yes.
But it's characters first. And those are always the toughest descriptions to write, or, archetypes to lock in. And you mentioned relationships between the characters. So that dynamic, and why is that important?
Yeah. And I think the relationships between the characters are the ways in which you, as an audience member, find yourself relating to those characters, getting invested in their journeys, but also relationship-driven storytelling really propels a narrative series forward over multiple episodes in a way that creates an engine outside of the plot itself. So that to me is really important, especially when it comes to animation. Again, people are looking to befriend these characters. They're looking to identify themselves with them. So you need to make sure that the relationships that your protagonist has with the other characters in their journey is really solid, is really compelling, really ebbs and flows in unexpected directions over the course of a series or a season of TV in a way where everything hinges on the moves in those relationships and less so on the plot.
Right. Relationships sustain,
Yes.
right? Especially over seasons
Correct.
and how they change and evolve.
I think when I've pitched things, I think it is, more about creating this character and about what their goals are and what is keeping them from their goals. And, you've got to get this character that people can really empathize with. I think a lot of people might get more into the details of the look and the process, and those are important. But without that character that the people you're pitching to are going to latch on to, that's what's going to grab them. So I would say it's creating characters. Some people will create a world, and the world is really fun because all the characters are triangular or something like that. Okay, and that's a fun idea, but that's not necessarily that's like, okay, well, that's the way that I can sell the world, but it's not going to immediately hook my viewers to want to watch beyond that.
So the world building might be a way to get someone interested in checking it out, but the characters, it really is what is going to get them to stay.
Yeah, and that's what's going to get your development executive excited. I don't think they're going to be as excited about, okay, well, we haven't seen this world before. And again, that's exciting, but it's who is in that world that is going to hook them.
That was 3 takeaways to instantly make your pitch better. So let's quickly review. Number 1, tell it like a story. Have that kind of vibe of everyone sitting around a campfire and something crazy happened to me and you won't believe it. Number 2, make it personal. Don't have to overthink it. Don't have to overshare it, but find a way to relate the story that you want to tell to something in your own life. Number 3, character is everything. Don't skip out on character in favor of world building, even though it's tempting and maybe a little bit easier. It's a common mistake show creators make. So remember character, character, character. Hey, before you go, thank you for listening. If you want more episodes like this, make sure to hit that follow or subscribe button. And while you're at it, grab my free guide, The Rule Breaker's Guide to Finding Your Creative Voice. It's a brutally honest roadmap I put together, built from the lessons, mistakes, and breakthroughs I've collected along my journey as a writer. You can download it for free at storyseriespodcast.com. See you in the next one.